Super. Okay. So, good afternoon, friends. My name is Sangeet Kini, and in the next 90 minutes or so, I will discuss about the career opportunities that are there in the pharma as well as healthcare segments. Now, a brief introduction about myself. I've been into the healthcare domain for the past 2 decades, actually 2.5 decades now. Presently, I work with a healthcare company named Hemogenomics in the position of vice president. My academic qualifications being I've done my MBA in finance and marketing, and a few years back, I also completed my master's in business laws from National Law School of India, University in Bangalore. In fact, I am presently pursuing another postgraduate diploma in medical law and ethics from the same university. I've been, fortunate to get opportunities of speaker sessions on various topics over the past many years. And I also like to write articles. Some of them have come in various publications. But what gives me most kind of satisfaction is mentoring young talent like you. And so that's when Yugma gave me an opportunity today to take a session. So I record my gratitude to the team Yugma for giving me this opportunity today. With that, let's come to the healthcare industry in India. You all know that this is one of the major sectors in India. From a statistics that I could pull out, it says 372 billion USD is the healthcare market and growing at over 22%. What is important is this is one of the top employers segments in India, where more than 80 lakh people are employed in various kind of healthcare sectors. And every year, over 5 lakh new talent is required to keep up with the growth of this sector. From a government point of view, government is also increasing the healthcare spending from traditionally about 1% to 1.5 to the target being 2.5% of the total GDP. About 44,000 hospitals are there in the private sector and about 26,000 in the public sector. In fact, government is doing quite a lot in terms of adding newer hospitals in the public sector. And this is excluding the numerous small clinics and nursing homes that are everywhere around us. Even today, majority of the health expenditure is borne by the citizens of the country from their own funds. So 72% of the total healthcare spending that's happening in India is out of the pocket spending. Earlier, it was in fact more than 90%. So now it's because of the Ayushman Bharat and a lot of other things. The percentage has come down, but it is still, over 2/3 compared to many other countries where majority of the people get the public spending for their healthcare. So we are slowly moving towards that. I hope you all know, most of you being MBA students, you all know that the basics of our healthcare infrastructure. We have about 12.5 lakh allopathy doctors and a few lakh other Ayush doctors in India. But still we lag in terms of the number of doctors per 10,000 population, as well as number of beds per 10,000 population. So there is a lot of catching up that's happening, and this catching up also means that the market is growing. And therefore, today my session will be mostly aimed at people who have done their management. So this is for the MBA and other management graduates, because the kind of job that we are discussing here today will be more focused on that. When you look at jobs, there could be many jobs. There could be a technician job in a hospital or a laboratory. There could be some other healthcare related paramedical job. But that's not what we are discussing today. We are discussing about the managerial opportunities that are in this segment. All right. I hope you can see the slides, right? Otherwise, I'm not getting a feedback.
Yes, we can see.
Oh, you're getting it. Okay. So I've just flipped the slide to talk about healthcare industry landscape. When we talk about the healthcare industry, as we know that it's a very, very large industry, but we are talking about, we are breaking it down into four buckets. The first bucket is where the healthcare delivery happens, means somebody gets a treatment or a cure or a diagnosis or anything. So where the patient doctor relationship happens. So typically we call it a hospital or a laboratory. The the second bucket is the healthcare products, the medical devices and other healthcare products. So there are a lot of companies who manufacture these products, and the hospitals or laboratories or other diagnostic centers use these products to facilitate their patient care. And the third one is the healthcare services market. So we'll come to that. And then fourth is the allied. So as we discussed in the healthcare, you have the hospitals, the pharmacy chains. There are individual pharmacies also, but for our today's purposes, we are talking about pharmacy chain, the large corporate chains, imaging centers, blood bank, a lot of pharma companies around us. India is a very large pharma manufacturing country. Then medical devices, surgical products, consumables. When it comes to healthcare services, there are consultancy, healthcare IT, telemedicine, home care services, then clinical research organizations. In the allied healthcare companies, there is a large and booming business industry, that is health insurance. Then there is medical tourism, which was affected in the past 2 years because of Corona, but of course it will bounce back. Then there are specific logistic companies which give, cold chain logistics for the healthcare purpose. Market research organization who supports these, be it large pharma companies or be it large hospitals. And then there are e-market players such as Medica Bazaars and stuff like that. Okay. So I've broken this huge healthcare industry into four buckets for our easy understanding, easy comprehension, and for the today's discussion purpose. There would always be many more sectors which today in this slide it is not there, but I think I have fairly covered most of the sectors. And today I will discuss about the first three buckets: delivery, products, and services more. Because when you talk about allied, then it goes a little out of tangent from our focus. All right. So the first bucket is healthcare delivery. So when you talk about healthcare delivery, that's hospitals, pharma chains, pathology labs, specialty clinics, imaging centers. You all know that the style of hospital operations has changed in the past 20 years or so. Earlier, when we used to think about a hospital, it was always founded by a doctor, a smaller facility, maybe a few beds, maybe 10, 20, 30 beds. If a gynecologist has started a hospital, she will have a gynae hospital, a maternity nursing home kind of. If a physician started, he will have a general hospital. So, so we have thousands of such smaller hospitals. But at the national level, large hospitals started coming up in the past, mostly into the past 20 years, maybe Apollo, maybe even more than 20 years. But the expansion and a lot of commercial as well as corporate activities happened in the hospital segment in the past 20 years or so. Similarly, if you talk about pharmacy chains, this is probably a little recent development, where large pharmacy chains such as MedPlus, Apollo, Tata 1mg, Pharmacy, there could be many. Like for example, in Bangalore, where I live, there's a Trust Pharmacy which has about 128 outlets. So each there could be national level and there could be regional level, pharma chains. Some of these pharma chains are also evolving into e-pharmacies. Okay. When it comes to path labs, most of you have come across these names such as Dr. Lal Path Lab, SRL Diagnostics, Metropolis, Thyrocare. They are the national level referral centers. Each one of them will have thousands of smaller branches across the nook and corner of the country. They call it franchisee centers or patient support centers, or simply a collection center. So where people go, we give the blood or whatever, the specimen, and that travels to their testing facilities where the testing happens and the results are given to us through email. Most of these large labs have gone public in the past 2 to 5 years time. In fact, Thyrocare has sold their stake to a pharmacy for about 4,500 crores. Metropolis, one of the promoters, have offloaded his stake, about 50% stake, for about 3,400 crores. So that's the kind of large transactions that's happening here. Then there are specialty clinics such as Dr. Batra's. You would have come to know that homeo, whatever they offer, the skin treatment and stuff like that. Jiva Ayurvedics is another one which has come up. When it comes to imaging centers at the national level, if you know, there's a chain called Nuclear. Then in North, especially in Delhi, this is very large called Mahajan Imaging. Recently, they inaugurated their new integrated imaging center, a very large facility, and the inauguration was performed by our Vice President Venkaya Naidu. So that's a kind of a large setup that we are talking about. Even RT Scan is a regional one, which is in the Bangalore and other parts of southern India. Okay. Any thoughts, any questions on this page? Because I cannot see any one of you here. I'm not able to get any kind of feedback as to whether you are with me, or whether you are able to see, whether you are able to hear me, or whether you have any comments. I would appreciate if at least I get one or two feedback.
We are listening, sir.
All right. Okay. So when we talk about the trends in the healthcare delivery industry, let me also tell you, out of the 372 billion market of healthcare, about 70 to 80% is in the hospital itself. That's the kind of huge opportunity in the hospital. The rest is spread across the pharma, path lab, special clinics, even pharmaceutical sector, medical device, everything. About 70 to 80 is concentrated in the hospital. That's the kind of value addition that hospitals are doing. Okay. Now coming to the trends of healthcare delivery. As we have just seen in the recent past 2 decades or so, there's a lot of corporatization that's happening in the hospital sector, in the laboratory. Like we discussed about a doctor starting a small nursing center, or a pathologist starting a individual laboratory. Today, most of this are getting acquired by the larger corporate hospitals or corporate laboratories like that. Okay, so corporatization is happening. There are a lot of foreign investments that are coming into India. In fact, for a greenfield project, as per the government rules, FDI rules, 100% FDI is approved through automatic route. And if it's a brownfield project, about 71% is approved. So that's a kind of foreign investments that are coming into India to either invest in hospitals and other facilities, or to acquire some of the existing hospitals. Most hospitals are expanding nationally as well as internationally. Most Indian hospitals, for example, there's one HCG Group Hospital in Bangalore, started by one Dr. Ajay Kumar, focusing on cancer treatment. He has started hospitals in India. He has started hospitals in Africa and Middle East, like that. Even Fortis Group has hospitals across multiple countries. So both nationally as well as internationally, most of these hospitals are either starting newer hospitals, or acquiring smaller hospitals. Earlier, Manipal Hospital, for example, was there only in Manipal, which is a small town in southern Karnataka, and one unit in Bangalore. Today, when you see Manipal, you have one in Delhi, in Dwarka, one in Jaipur. So in multiple cities, Manipal has grown. Even Aster MedCity is a newer, like a few years back, they started their flagship facility in Kochi, and today you have Aster hospitals everywhere in multiple cities. So there's a lot of expansion happening, a lot of merger and acquisitions happening. For example, Manipal Hospital taking over Columbia Asia Hospital. Columbia Asia was a Malaysian group, so they acquired that company. Then this Max Hospital Group acquiring a company, sorry, a hospital called Nanavati Hospital in Mumbai. People from Mumbai would know Nanavati Hospital. So that got acquired by Max Hospital Group. So now today it's called Max Nanavati Hospital. So there is a lot of M&A that's happening. A lot of IPOs, even smaller facilities, smaller, so to say, like not thousands of crore, even a few 100 crore organizations are going into the IPO way. So most of these large hospital chain, or even the laboratory chains, they are already listed in SEBI, and they are already trading. So many years back they went into IPOs. Now these smaller ones are also getting into IPOs. There's a lot of consolidation. So multiple laboratories of individual doctors come together in multiple cities under one brand. For example, Newburgh is a new, in the last 3 years they have come out. So they tie up with various successful labs in various cities under one umbrella called Newburgh. So there's one in Pune, one Dr. Golwilkar lab. Now it has become Newburgh Group. One Anand Diagnostic Center in Bangalore. Today is Newburgh Anand. There's one Supratech in Ahmedabad, which is Newburgh Group. So there's a lot of consolidation that's happening in the health delivery sector. Digitization. Needless to say that this is probably a very inevitable thing across healthcare, and or like in most other sectors, healthcare also needs a lot of digitization, which is happening. So some of the foreign investors are the Gleneagles, the Parkway Group. Gleneagles is a Malaysian group. Parkway is a Singapore group. If you know, Global Hospital in Hyderabad, Mumbai, even Chennai, they are all became Parkway Global or Global Gleneagles. Even one Global has one in hospital in Bangalore also. So these are all part of a large holding company called IHH from Malaysia. Similarly, there are other investment companies called TPG, Temasek. So they have all invested in Manipal Group, and the Manipal has some share. TPG has about 20%. Temasek has about 18% in the Manipal Group of hospitals. Collectively, they bid for Fortis Group, and they acquired Fortis Group. So Fortis Group is today owned by part of it Manipal own holdings, and then the TPG Group. So there's a lot of churning that's happening here. As I said, Manipal has acquired 100% in Columbia Asia also. A smaller, okay, pharmacy is targeting for about 9 billion through IPO valuation. Even smaller chains like Krishna Diagnostics somewhere in Hyderabad or Vizag, they are also going the IPO way. So there's a lot of action happening in the healthcare delivery front. So when we say healthcare delivery, it's not just about hospitals. It could be hospitals, laboratories, imaging centers, and wellness centers and specialty centers, so on and so forth. Okay. Now let's come to the second sector, which is called the healthcare products. So healthcare products, as you understand, these products are finally consumed by one of the healthcare delivery points, be it a hospital, laboratory, imaging center, wherever. Among the healthcare products, pharmaceuticals is the largest, about 42 billion. Maybe the total healthcare product market could be approximately about 70 billion in India, 65 to 70 billion, out of which about 42 billion is pharma market, pharmaceutical producers itself. There are over 3,000 companies in India in the pharmaceutical sector, and this sector is growing at a CAGR of 12%. When it comes to generic manufacturers, India is the largest generic manufacturer, and when you talk about whole of pharma industry, we are the third largest pharma industry in the world. Again, as you know, pharma is further segmented as branded, specialty, generic, OTC, API. So that's beyond the scope of today's discussion. All that, and I'm sure most of you have done your MBA in hospital, healthcare, pharmaceutical, and also with a strong background from a healthcare or B Farm. So you know which are the companies, what are the kind of segments. So this is today's my purpose is just to have touch upon various sectors that are out there. And you know the largest pharma company in India is Sun Pharma, followed with Abbott, Cipla, Mankind. So there is a lot of Indian. Sun Pharma is an Indian company. Mankind, Cipla, Alchem, they're all Indian companies. The global largest companies like GSK and all, they are either not there, they closed down their shops, or they are actually lagging behind. Then when it comes to medical devices, what are the medical devices? They are the devices that are used in diagnosis, prevention, treatment, or monitoring. For example, a thermometer, a simple thermometer that you buy from a chemist shop for about 100 rupees, 200 rupees. So that diagnoses your temperature, right? It could be a thermometer, an X-ray machine, a mammograph, an endoscope. So there are a lot many products. According to WHO, there are over 200,000 different products that are there in the medical devices. Yes, did someone say something? All right. So more than 200,000 different medical devices categorized in over 7,000 categories. So that's a kind of spread in the medical devices. One thing when it comes to medical devices that I want to tell you is someone speaking, or by mistake there's a lot of background noise?
So that is by mistake, I think.
Fair enough, no issues. Okay, so when it comes to medical devices as against the pharmaceuticals and the hospitals, one major difference is today 70 to 80% of the medical devices that are used in India are imported. We are a very heavily import dependent country when it comes to medical devices. Okay, the government of India is trying its best to reduce the import dependency by various Make in India initiatives, various incentives. And I don't know if you all know that the government of India has released very clear instruction to various government bodies that any tender that you come out with for a medical product has to be awarded to a company that makes the product in India. There are two levels of Make in India classification. One is class 1, which means a product that has more than 50% of Indian component. Class 2, that is 20 to 50%. the tender has to be awarded preference to be given to class 1 bidder. If there is no class 1 bidder, then goes to class 2 bidder. But in the first go, if the tender, if there is a bidder which is neither class 1 nor class 2, and who says that, I can give you the product as you want, but it's a foreign product, then you have to scrap that tender, come out with a new tender. And only in the second go, when you have again second non-responsive tender, or where there are no Indian bidders, should a foreign product be considered. That kind of very strong position the government of India has taken in the past 1.5 years, because of which more and more people are venturing out into medical devices manufacturing. Okay, coming back to the market size, it's about 11 billion, and it is probably the fastest growing segment among all the various subsegments within the healthcare. As you know, pharma is growing at about 20%. Indian hospitals are growing. Hospital segment is growing at approximately 15%, whereas medical devices is growing by over 30%. As we say, medical devices again is there's a lot of products across in vitro diagnostics. That means the products that are used in a laboratory. Medical imaging could be an X-ray, MRI, CT scan. So there are a lot of products which are used in a imaging center. Scopes means endoscopes, colonoscopes, colposcopes. There are a lot of scopes used in hospitals. Medical implants, orthopedic implants, dental implants, various implants. Now the newer segment is wearable medical devices. Most I was reading somewhere, more than 2/3 of an American is wearing something, some or the other medical device. The most commonest being the Apple Watch, and then there are many other companies, be it Goki, Fitbit, and almost every other company is trying to come out with something that you can wear, and which monitors and tracks basically your certain vital parameters. Okay, so the large companies in this area, even within India, is still Medtronics, J&J, GE, Philips, Fuji. They're all foreign companies, but then we have some Indian companies like the Merrill, Transitia, Trivitron. So Merrill, Transitia, Trivitron, they're all about 500 crore to 1,000 crore kind of companies. And then there could be another more than 300 smaller Indian companies, 20 crores to a few hundred crore, that kind of range, into some of the other medical devices. But as I said, we are still heavily dependent on the foreign companies, including Chinese onslaught on us. Okay. Now, when it comes to surgical products, not really grown in the past 2 years. Probably a lot of surgeries were postponed due to physical distancing and corona and things like that. However, the surgical products market will definitely grow. And as of now, the growth is 7%. When we say surgical products, again, it is segmented into electrosurgical, laparoscopic, wound closure, trocar, success device, like that. Again, both Indian as well as MNCs are in this. Boston Scientific is one of the large MNCs which are there in India for this. Convent is another one, B. Brown, J&J. Among the Indian companies, there's SMT. Originally, it was called Sahajanand. Now they rebranded it as SMT. SMT stands for Sahajanand Medical Technologies. Similarly, Romsons is another Chennai-based company, about 500-600 crores. There could be many small manufacturers of surgical products. Okay, right from surgical scissors, surgical knife. There are forceps. There are a lot of products that are there, and very honestly, among all these subsegments of surgery within the hospital, surgical product as well as the next one, that is consumables, these are very, very price sensitive and heavily competitive compared to even the medical devices. So coming to the consumables again, when we talk about medical consumables, it could even be a gloves, syringe, needle. So again, there are thousands of items, sutures, blood bags. Okay, so there are again hundreds of smaller manufacturers, plastic wares, beakers, test tubes. The list goes on. Okay. However, BD is a large company in this area, Becton Dickinson. They have their own uh, manufacturing setup in India to make the syringes and needles. 3M is another company. Coloplast is then another one. Thermopenpol, they are manufacturing blood bags in India. They have their manufacturing center in Trivandrum. So this is a joint venture between an Indian group and a Japanese group. So this is the spread of healthcare products in India. And when it comes to the trends, Make in India initiative is on the top of it because most companies are either starting their own manufacturing in India. I'll tell you one example. When we started this testing for Corona about 2 years back, we didn't have any testing kit in India. Everything was imported. So the government of India came out with a tender, and all these Chinese companies participated, and because they came cheaper, they won. And when the government started testing using these Chinese products, we got a lot of incorrect reports. Finally, the government of India cancelled the Chinese tender, asked that company to take back whatever they supplied to the government on account of defective product quality. Immediately, the government of India got in touch with Korean government, and we gave them a few acres of land in Manesar near Gurgaon, Delhi, to set up a COVID antibody testing facility. And in no time, maybe a couple of months, they started making the antibody testing kits, which government of India started using. Similarly, another company called MyLab, which is an Indian company, was preferred heavily by the government because it's 100% Indian company. So this COVID was in many ways, of course, it was a healthcare challenge, but when it comes to Make in India initiative, it helped us to realize that we need to be self-reliant when it comes to healthcare manufacturing. We had the hospitals, we had hospital beds, whatever it was, we could manage, but our dependency on importing the kits for testing and the equipments for testing, these were glaringly being seen. If you know that when the corona hit us 2 years back, we did not even have a PPE kit, personal protective equipment kit. Today, every nook and corner of every city, there could be a small manufacturer who is making a PPE kit. Even the garment manufacturers stopped making garments and they got into making PPE kits of decent quality, at least better than what comes from China. Okay, so Make in India initiative is, honestly speaking, our next generation will get the benefit out of Make in India, and most of these products that are made in India today, we have started exporting, including the Covaxin. So government of India is giving the procurement preference, production linked incentives in various centers. In fact, government of India has made a list of about 350 items that are not available in any of the manufacturers in India, and they circulated it to all known healthcare companies, saying that these items we are 100% importing from foreign organization. Why don't any one of you start this? If you want to manufacture it in India, we'll give you all the incentives. So this kind of list comes to even to my company. This list comes 350 items, and they say, well, these are the items we don't have an Indian product. So when somebody, some innovator, some entrepreneur goes through this list, he feels that why not me start this? Why not me start manufacturing it and offer it to the government in their tenders? So that's happening. And there are a lot of medical devices park. One of the largest being AMTZ near Vizag. Then another one, Telangana. Every state government is coming out with a medical devices park. Another one is National Pharmaceutical Pricing Policy. Many of you would be already knowing. This is aimed at making our healthcare more affordable. And this is even many of the private hospitals are cribbing and complaining that they are not being able to cover their cost because of this price cap. But the government is very firm on what they feel is the reasonable price on their products. So earlier, a kneecap which was sold by a hospital for about 2 lakh rupees has to be sold to a maximum of 35,000 rupees. So in a way, the foreign companies which had kneecaps, they were sponsoring the doctors, incentivizing the people in the channel, be it a hospital, doctor, anybody, to use their products, which was not advantageous for the homegrown companies. Today, homegrown companies, our product, and whether it's a Medtronic product or a GE product, all that the patient has to pay is 35,000 rupees. So there's a lot of other costs which were involved in the healthcare business, which was giving a bad name to the healthcare business, is also slowly coming down. Increased government spending, we just discussed. The target is to spend about 2.5% of the GDP. You may be knowing about National Health Mission. Almost 30,000 crore rupees is given to National Health Mission to undertake various projects. Many a times, by the end of the year, more than 70% of this money gets lapsed because because of either red tapeism, no initiative, no projects. Some government officer has to feel that, okay, I have money. Why not I do this? Let me do something for the people. So there's a lot of apathy in terms of doing. So many a times the money gets lapsed and go back to the government exchequer. However, NHM is also doing a lot of good things. People are coming to know that through NHM we can do a lot of good things, and more state governments as well as others interested parties are approaching the government to do various healthcare initiatives. Technologically, AI and big data is impacting healthcare, be it in the predictive healthcare or diagnostic screening, various aspects. And most of these new generation products, especially the medical devices, are AI enabled. So we also see the convergence of technologies and IoT even in the healthcare products. A lot of startups are there. One example I just said, My Lab. Why I took My Lab name is because you would have seen their advertisement in the newspaper. I think Akshay Kumar is their brand ambassador for the COVID self-test kit. So they were not a known company at all. They were not the Ciplas or the Glenmarks. They just came from nowhere, and they are today a very famous name. Similarly, there are a lot of startups which are, they developed a breast cancer testing, a device, a very, very low cost device with a fair bit of accuracy. So there are many such startups in the healthcare domain. A lot of private equity is flowing in. We just we dealt with some of them in when we covered the hospitals. Same is happening even in the medical devices sector. We covered the COVID part. COVID has actually opened up our gaps, and also it helped us to kind of give us a pathway to what we need to do in the coming years. All right. Now I'm going to the third sector. Uh, so I will complete the sector and then we'll talk about what are the kind of jobs available across. Okay. What I feel is when we discuss about various sectors, this kind of gives you an overall idea about what are the, when we say healthcare, what all are there out there. Okay. So when it comes to healthcare services, there is healthcare consultancy. Many of the youngsters whom I have interacted with, who are the freshly out of their MBA course, they are keen to join consultancy, and they say that consultancy companies have come to our company. Let me tell you, there are hundreds of consultancies. I do not know what kind of company came to your institute or what kind of company has offered you. Um, but please choose the good companies when it comes to choosing consultancy as a profession. Among the consultancy also, there are various kinds of healthcare consultants. One is architecture. For example, somebody wants to set up set up a hospital. So from a greenfield project, you need to have architecture consultants. You need to have accreditations, be it National Accreditation Board for Hospital, NABH. Then there is international accreditation such as JCI. In the laboratory, you have something called a CAP accreditation. So for all these, there are specific consultants. Then there are strategic and business consultants. So some of the consultants in India are Hosmac, Hospitech, Healthcare. They are all Indian companies, and of course E&Y. There could be a McKinsey. There could be many Deloitte. There are many large consultants out there. But most consultants in India are like, somebody who's an industry veteran. After spending 20-30 years in the industry, he thinks that I need to set up a consultancy house. So then he gets a few young talent, and then through his connection, he would get some consultancy assignment across some hospital or laboratory or something. So that's where you need to be a little more, you need to apply your logic whether to join such very small things. The term of startups may also attract you at times, but joining a startup has its own advantages as well as certain challenges. So keep all those things in mind when you choose a company which comes to your college to offer you a placement. Coming to healthcare IT, many of you have done BE in IT. I've interacted with somebody recently who has done his BE in IT. And instead of pursuing the IT as a domain, he felt that he wants to switch over to healthcare. So people like that, like them, this could be a good opportunity where there's a healthcare IT. There's a lot of action happening in this area, healthcare information management systems and electronic health records. They call it EHR or MHR, medical health records. So there's a lot many technological advantages happening. Even the government of India has come out with National Digital Health Mission, through which they are enrolling. So far, about 25,000 hospitals have already enrolled, and about 80,000 doctors have enrolled to digitize all the patient records. Companies, large MNC companies like Cerner, NextGen Healthcare, they are all present in India offering their services. And I also came to know that there are hundreds of smaller consultancies out there who are offering
Hello, sir. So you are on mute, I think.
Mute? No, I'm not on mute.
Please make Sandeep sir as co-host.
Hello?
Yes, sir, can hear you. You're audible.
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
Okay, I'm audible, right? Okay. So, because all that I have in front of me is a set of slides, and I'm just talking. So, this is not the best
So I
thing
guess
that
this slide share is not visible. We can't see the screen. If you can reshare, that'll be great.
okay. I'll do that. Okay, I think. Am I? Can you see the PPT?
Yes.
Okay.
It is
All right.
visible.
Because just going on talking without an offline classroom session would have been more,
Do understand that, sir.
you
Do
know.
understand. So guys, so all the participants, I would request if you can turn your cameras on, that's one. Second, if you have any questions, if you have any doubts anywhere, just put those on the chat box or simply unmute yourself and ask your question. We'll be happy to answer your questions and address all
Yeah.
the queries you have. And please make it more interactive
Fair enough.
because,
So
yeah. Thank you. So sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. Just sharing my thoughts. It's okay. It's perfectly okay.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. When it comes to telemedicine, due to COVID, it got a boost up in Otherwise, earlier also we had companies like Practo and all. It was growing, but in the recent one of the recent surveys, it was found that 85% of clinicians in the A1 cities used teleconsultation and digital platforms during the lockdown, and 50% of them found that this is an effective tool for patient interaction. Okay, what is interesting is 80% of such consultations were the first time patients. Okay, and many of them, about 44% of the consultations were from non-metros. See, earlier somebody from a smaller town, let's say Alwar in Rajasthan, if he had to consult a doctor in Delhi, he has to take a train or road or whatever. He has to travel 6 8 hours, come to Delhi, stay there, go to the doctor's clinic. It takes about 2 to 3 days for a half an hour consultation. Today, sitting in Alwar, he can connect to the same doctor. Yes, it may have its own certain challenges that the clinical examination part by the doctors at times is missing. So it could always be a hybrid that once you met the doctor, the next time onwards you don't have to come. You can connect up through the digital mode. So this market is here to grow, and in fact, it is growing very fast. I guess about 25 30%. It also offers not only the accessibility, it also offers affordability when it comes to total cost of meeting a doctor. Even if it's in the same city, somebody taking a taxi to go to the hospital and coming back, and if you count all the expenses, telemedicine will become very affordable. It also gives convenience. You can, sitting in the comforts of your house, you are able to talk to a doctor. Many people have this problem when they enter a doctor's cabin, their BP shoots up. So here, sitting in your house, you are able to consult a doctor. And most importantly, it's a privacy part. It's between two individuals strictly. Not even a third person in the hospital also comes to know typically. Coming to the clinical research organization, again, Bangalore is one of the hubs. Large international companies like IQVIA, Paraxel are here. companies like Syngene, Clinigene, which are all funded by Infosys, and then Dr. Reddy. Almost every large hospital, every large pharma companies have their CRO wing. 10% of the total global research is happening in India. In fact, it could be even more in the coming years because of our better compliances. Earlier, we had some bad name, especially after the Ranbaxy issue, that we, as a company, as a country, we are not a very compliant set of people. Whereas there's a lot of reputation building that's happening now as a result. A lot of large global CROs are setting up their offices in India. I feel that this is again going to be a large growth area, especially when it goes along with the growth of other industries also. When the pharmaceutical industry in India is growing, of course, CRO has to grow. Okay. Then comes home services. Again, this is also going to be a super duper industry in the coming years. Growing population, growing disposable income, the breakdown of a joint family structure to smaller families where just the elderly people live separately from their children. There has to be somebody to take care. Even certain chronic illnesses happen earlier in the life for many people, such as obesity and things like that, which necessitates an expert to not just a servant, but a person who has certain skills. So the home health services is also booming. If anybody wants to set up your own company, I would suggest start here. Home nursing services, home health services. Okay. Um, Portia is one of them. There are many across India. There are many smaller, home nursing services are there. Somebody who has only 2 to 3 nurses in their roles, they are also offering a home nursing services. And I guess this is going to grow and become more mature. Probably today you'll see a lot of small home nursing service entities around you. You may not have a portio person coming to your house. I'm just saying. In the future, I feel that there will be a lot of corporatization here also. We need somebody whom we are opening our doors for our elderly people at our home. We need somebody whom we trust uh, from a integrity as well as skills. Whereas today, most home services are small, little fly-by-night kind of players. I feel in the future there will be a lot of large players who will come into this sector. So I have covered all the 3 sectors. Sector one was the healthcare delivery, that's hospital, laboratories, specialized centers, imaging centers, dental clinics. Dental clinics I didn't cover today because there's not much of corporatization that's there. Then the second is hospital products, where we covered the pharmaceuticals, the medical devices, other 1 or 2 segments. And then the services is the consultancy, the IT services, telemedicine, CRO, home services. All in all, we have covered about 15 different sectors today. For paucity of time, as well as not to be too elaborate, I'm deliberately not covering the 4th sector, that is the allied services such as the insurance services, the cold chain logistics, the market research organizations, and all. Within these 3 major buckets that we covered, let us look into what are the entry level roles. When I say entry level roles, what I mean is somebody who has done MBA and in the institute level or immediately after the course, various companies come, and generally these are the various roles. I'm not going to the designation. Designations are often deceptive, but I'm talking more about the roles that are available. Again, I have broken this into 4 different buckets. The first one is business development. So there could be a company which offers you a pre-sales support where you need to interact with the salespeople as well as the potential customer to satisfy their needs. For example, if you are, for example, companies like large cath lab, large imaging machines which has 2 3 crore or 5 crore rupees value, it's not just about going and selling. The customer will come out with a lot of queries. Even before he purchases, you need to uh, graduate the customer through their queries. It could be about space, it could be about space, volume, all the kind of parameters. So that is called pre-sales. Then sales, that sale in a pharma company they call it medical representative, or a territory manager. In some other companies, they call it area manager, whatever. So the designations could be different, uh, but it is essentially into sales. Some hospitals call it PRO. What does it mean, PRO here? I don't know, but that's the designation they give. So these people meet the doctors in that area and tell them, why don't you do your surgeries in our hospital? We have all the facility and things like that. Okay, or you refer your patients to our hospital for advanced treatment. So pre-sales, sales. Some of the companies are also having positions for in the international business, wherein instead of meeting the clients in India, you will be posted internationally, maybe a Middle East or maybe some other Southeast Asia or wherever, to sell their product. So many of the Indian manufacturers have branches across multiple countries. Now, when it comes to marketing, yes, you all know about product management. Most of you may be wanting to join product management. So maybe the entry level jobs could be something like a product executive, okay, or a product specialist, and then allied to the product management is the marketing communications. Again, this is also evolving into content writing and digital marketing. From earlier, marketing communication generally meant making brochures or making advertisement themes and stuff like that. Today, it's all digital. There's a lot of digital skills that you need, uh, when it comes to building a digital community around your company's brand. You need to have a lot of digital marketing skills. So again, it could be branding your company, it could be content writing, it could be designing, it could be running campaigns. So Marcom is also evolving as a skilled activity. Market research, again, many companies have a very strong market research team. So this has always been there, but more and more this is getting stronger, and many a times research also happens digitally. Okay, so that's about the marketing bit by and large. Probably I would have missed one or two other allied functions here. Then coming to operations, some of you may be wanting to go into certain, say, supply chain management or a customer support. In various hospitals there are very specific customer support desk. Even companies there are customer support desk. Some of you who are a little more technically qualified can also think about becoming into tech support, where a customer of your product, uh, after using the product, has certain technical support requirement, be it interpreting a report, be it helping him to run the product properly, use the product properly. So there is a lot of tech support in that. Then, as always, various kind of administrative roles. They may initially call it a coordinator or an executive, admin executive, or anything, but then there's a lot of admin roles. If you walk into a one of these corporate hospitals, you will see a lot of people right from the time you step into the hospital coming to you and asking you what do you want. Right from that, if you are a patient, you have been taken care. So you have patient service executives then various kind of coordinators. Then you have people who are interested in going into HR, yes, or analyst. Analyst is again many companies, especially the consultancy companies have these kind of designations of analysts. It could be a business analyst, it could be a data analyst, anything. So that's about it. And also consultants, okay, for a consultancy company. Then there are opportunities in program management. Many companies, even though there's a little skilled subset as program management, if you some of you who have done any certification course or some exposure to program management may be able to get into this kind. And because program management is also a function of a company where multiple functions have to coordinate to each other to deliver the result. It could be a hospital, it could be a company where multiple functions have to work together, and so as to make this multiple function working together much more seamlessly, you have a department called program management which puts in the systems to ensure this very easy and teamwork in place. And then coordination, various kind of coordinator roles. These are some of the kind of entry level roles, and even though these are entry level roles, as you grow further from a sales, you could become a regional manager, a national manager, a general manager, and then you can also switch over from sales to marketing as you gain more customer interacting experience. Many successful product managers were into sales when they started, so they gained a lot of on the ground information, then became product managers. Compared to those people who joins product management directly, who will many a times falter when it comes to understanding the customer psychology, because they have not interacted with the customers on the ground as much as a salesperson has. So they have not gone through that grill, so their market insights are a little compromised when you compare to a product manager who came from a sales background. So even the product management people, after a few years, get into sales management roles. So there's nothing like you cannot. These are not very watertight roles between marketing and business development. But yes, some of these people may find it difficult to get into other tech support or SCM. Tech support again is possible. Many people who join as business development, after some time they go into something called like application support, tech support, because they also become subject matter expert in the company where they are working. So remember, most companies that we are talking about, they are all little technical companies. They are, except a few companies that we spoke, maybe a medical consumable, maybe a hand glove or a plastic beaker doesn't have much technicality involved. But most of the medical devices, most of the pharmaceutical products, even in the hospital, if you are into the marketing team of a hospital dealing with surgeons and all, you need to be technically qualified. You need to learn that. So no matter which level of learning you are in today, don't worry about that. You will definitely learn once you get into a company. So somebody who joins as marketing can also grow as a group product manager and general manager, marketing and sales and marketing and things like that. People who are into operations role can also grow in the company. But always, I personally feel that somebody who is into the business development and marketing gains a little more advantage when it comes to business leader positions compared to somebody who has been into tech support or customer support for many years. So, but yes, in tech support and customer support, you have a little more stability in your job. That's the plus point. So somebody who is wants to have a more stable kind of thing, or somebody's attitude, the who are not those very aggressive go-getter type, you can always think about this tech support, customer support, SCM, other operations. So it all depends upon what's your flair when it comes to choosing a profession. And MBA in HR, marketing, you have HR positions available, analyst positions are available. So we have discussed most of these positions. And no matter which position you start with, you have almost equal opportunity to grow. Uh, a career is about 30, 40 years. So you have to navigate your course of career very wisely. Okay. So, a little bit on the career tips. According to me, career is a marathon. When you start, most of you maybe about 22 years, 22 to 25, between that kind of age group, and about 40 years is there in front of you. If if you want to continue as a professional, uh, consider like that. Don't show too much of people who have experienced the marathon running. Some of you, I'm sure, they don't run very fast in the first 1 or 2 kilometers. They keep that timing properly in the mind. You need to complete first 1 kilometer in this speed, or first 5 kilometers within this time. Like that, you run. You don't just rush into running. So same is the situation here. Therefore, keep a 3 to 5 year vision for you. It's not about, you cannot have a vision of 30 years, but it's important to have a 3 to 5 year vision. If you are joining as a into the business development, you may have a 3 to 5 year vision that, okay, I am starting here. Maybe in 3 to 5 years, I'll try to get into a role change into marketing, things like that. Okay. But what is important, whichever position you are in, if a company has to consider you for a better role, you have to actively seek exposure and assignment. Many people come to, when they meet me for an interview, they brag that I have 15 years of experience. So what? Its number of years is nothing to me. Within that 15 years, what all you were exposed to. If somebody has been into frontline sales for 15 years, I wouldn't take him as a manager, because he hasn't experienced that. Okay, his experience is in the number of years, but he's not exposed to man management. So it's all about what kind of exposure. Now, to get exposure, you cannot change companies every 2 years. But within the company that you are working, are you able to take different assignments? Now, how would somebody know that you are a person who is actively interested in taking up assignments? You have to give feelers to your boss, to your side boss. Side boss means somebody's senior, but you are not reporting to them. You have to show that you are passionate. You want to take up. You want to learn. How are we going to get that new product? Oh, are we going to launch that new product? Oh, that must be interesting. So there's a lot to do in that. No, when you launch a new product, there's a lot to prepare, isn't it, sir? How does it work? So he knows. Oh, I think you are keen to know that. Okay, even though you are into business management, you are asking me a lot of questions. It's showing that you are very enthusiastic. Sometimes somebody will ask you, can you come into that new product launch? I'm making a team. Are you okay? But unless you ask, okay, how would some other human being understand? Okay. So asking very bluntly is not always appreciated, but giving feelers that you are a person who likes to learn, get exposed. You don't have any hesitancy in doing a little, going a little extra mile. That kind of positive feeling you have to give. Okay, then next is keep learning. And an MBA degree is nothing unless, because most of these sectors that we are talking about are highly evolving, be it technological side or be it market innovation. There is a lot to learn. So unless you are willing to learn, uh, at least in the initial few years, I don't think you would do justice to your career. I had hired a junior person in my company sometime back into Marcom, and we had a set of technical documents which I wanted him to read. He was about 1 month old in my company after 1 year of experience with some other company. So I said, okay, your earlier company was into something else. Here you need to learn our products. It's been a month now. You have had your induction training, everything, but it seems you don't know this technical matters. Okay, so why don't you do this? Why don't you go through this, and next week we will sit with you. I just want to see that you have learned. He said yes, and this was a Friday, and Saturday, Sunday we had off. On Monday again, I met him. I asked him, okay, did you go through those documents? He said, no, Saturday and Sunday were off. No, this was his answer. I got so wild. What he was doing on Saturday, Sunday, he was with his friends. Fair enough, he should do that. But do you have to learn something? Do you have to work on? Do you have to do it only during your working hours? Can you not read up a document of your own company where you are joining on a everyday night before you go to sleep, or every day morning before you dress up to go to the office, or on a weekend? Okay, that decides your altitude in your career. Your attitude decides. Okay, so that's where I say keep learning, and of course read books. If you show me a successful person in this world, I can vouch he has been a avid book reader. You may have the best of the degrees on earth, but if you're not a book reader, you will still remain an average professional. This is my, I can bet on you today. You may be the what do you call it, gold medalist in your MBA class, but if you are not a person who reads at least 10 management related books, management, life, whatever, okay, at least about 10 in a year, not too much, not asking for too much. If you don't do that, after 10 years, if I meet you, I will you you will prove yourself to be somewhere in the middle, still struggling to get the better assignments that you wanted to be. This is take it from me today. Okay. Then comes industry magazines. Whichever industries, maybe some of you may join an endoscopy company, some of you may join a hospital, some of you may join something else, maybe a lab. Every sector has their own industry magazines. Please keep reading that. It will give you a lot of knowledge about what are the latest trends, what are happening, what are technological evolutions happening, and more importantly, you will also see articles from the industry leaders. It will propel you to feel that someday my photo should also be there in this journal. Someday I also want to become the COO of Fortis Group. If you're in a hospital, or okay, or someday I also want to become a general manager or sales head, so please keep reading industry magazines. And most important, my dear friends, is keep looking for mentors, because the your parents have, when, please don't take it personal, I'm just saying in general, okay, our parents have no idea about the roles that are there out today, like the data analyst or business analyst and things like that. People in our families, our elders, will not be able to guide us anymore. You need people who are who can become your mentors within the industry, preferably, who can tell you that this is where this is where you need to focus, and this is where you need to put your energies into. So actively look for mentors, reach out to industry successful people in the industry through the LinkedIn and all. Request them, can you be my mentor? It costs nothing. They may say a no, right? That's it, right? But if they say yes, I will, who gets some benefit? Why shy away? Many people have asked me, how will I get a mentor? Yes, just like we said earlier in the case of seeking exposure, here again that matters. You have to ask. If you are so shy of asking what he will think, then okay, good luck to you. Otherwise, actively seek out. There are, in I've read that in many countries in US and all, the mentors charge a fees. But luckily in India, I don't think we do that. Most Indian senior people, be even Ratan Tata, wouldn't want a junior guy to pay him something. Okay, or a Kiran Majumdar show. People whom we are scared to reach out to, but people whom we respect a lot, reach out to them, ask them. Worst thing is they will say no. Most often they will not even respond. That's fine. Okay, maybe each one should have at least 2 to 4 mentors, maybe at least one for sure. So if you are not reading books and if you don't have mentors, then good luck to you. All right. And most important is passion. If you want to be successful in this world, you have to follow your passion, not a paycheck, at least in the initial years of your career. Okay. Uh, some of you here in this group, in this room, may be wanting to start up your own business. I don't know how many of you would like to. This is a monologue style I'm talking. So I'm assuming that some of you would be interested to become entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of scope to become a manufacturer. You have a lot of make in India push. There are a lot of medical devices park in every state. Look for it. There is MSME, Mudra loans available. There are a lot of fund house. You have an idea, pitch it to a fund house. You get a money. One of my friends, he started a company last year. It's called Samplify. So all that is what he does is he has recruited a lot of uh, phlebotomist. Phlebotomist is somebody who takes the blood from the arm. The technicians, we call them. Now, and he has hundreds of them in his role. He tied up with various labs, saying that when somebody wants to collect blood from their house and sends it to your lab, and you do not have phlebotomist, you just tell us. We will go take the sample, come to your lab and deliver the sample to you. Okay, so wherever in the healthcare where you see a gap, there is an opportunity. So this phlebotomy thing was a gap, because most laboratories, they have huge facility, they have best of the machine, everything is there. But when it comes to now, everybody wants the technician to come home, isn't it? So when it comes to sending the technician to home, many labs did not have in their roles. So this guy is taking hundreds of technicians and tying up with labs. So probably he's also making an app. You can go into the app and book and stuff like that. Anyway, so there's a lot of opportunities in manufacturing. There's a lot of opportunities in service provider. This Libo things amplifies the service provider. Similarly, you can be a aggregator. You can have quite a few large equipments that a hospital doesn't need every day. For example, a liver transplant may need certain specialized equipment, but a hospital is not doing a liver transplant every day. Maybe in 2 3 months you have one transplant. So you have one machine and you tie up with 10 50 hospitals around you who are into liver transplant, and whoever wants it, for 2 days you rent it out. So aggregators, rentals, marketing. So there's a lot of opportunity here. And of course, when it comes to distribution, importer, exporter, there are thousands of uh, pharma distributors and retailers around you. So there is a lot of opportunities. I have actually put some links, but now I am not showing it because we are short of time. But I request you people to visit this www.amtz.in and see the kind of great work that these people are doing on the Pradesh Medical Technology Zone. Similarly, you may have it in every state. Uttarakhand has it, Karnataka has it, UP is starting, Telangana has this life sciences cluster or medical devices park. Please go through these and learn what are the opportunities around you. All right. So, as I end my session, I would like to tell you that healthcare industry is a core industry, which means it's an evergreen industry. It may not be as fluctuating as a travel and tourism industry or a fashion industry. This is a core industry. Like the food is a core industry. Healthcare is a core industry. It doesn't have to recession, so to say, and it will grow as the population grows. This industry needs people who have technical knowledge for most of the functions that we just discussed, except probably a supply chain management or a administrative or a coordinator. But most roles will require you to be technical, possessing technical knowledge. And don't worry, you will gain technical knowledge from the company when you're joining there. Okay. Most of the roles that we discussed is that you deal with doctors, you deal with professionals, not like imagine if you are joining a great company called Shell. Shell is into lubricants. Whom are you going to meet? Let's say you are you are a product executive. The company sends you, okay, as part of your learning process, you have to go and meet the customers. Where will you go? You will go to the petrol pump. Meet whom? The guy who is pouring petrol, the guy who is in the running the petrol pump, right? Or let's say you are working in a great garments company, say Levi's. Where will you go? You will go to some garment market in various cities as part of your learning. Here, where are you? Whom are you dealing with? You are dealing with professionals. You are dealing with doctors. So there is a different flavor attached to it. And most importantly, when you work with in a healthcare company, you have a satisfaction of serving people, doing something for the people. If you are, for example, if you are working with a company that detects cancer early on, and therefore the patient can get totally cured, and because of your effort, more and more patients are coming forward to check themselves for any risk of cancer. And through your product, patients who are at risk are immediately treated and cured. How satisfying is that than selling a soap or a shampoo? If you are into a hospital and you know that during a pandemic or otherwise, uh, the hospital is serving a lot of patients. How satisfying is that? Isn't it? So that very few industries offer you that kind of dual possibility. One is to earn salary, and the other one is to earn punya. I'm just making a statement. Okay, you know now what punya kamana. Okay, so you are earning both in this. And of course, there's a good growth prospect for the professionals in this industry. Thank you, all of you. I'm opening it for a few minutes for any questions. Let me also stop sharing, okay? Hello. I can see Shivam. Okay, thank you, Shivam. Shivam has chatted. Any questions? Any you can through voice or through chat box you can.
Thank you, sir. No questions from my side. Just wanted to thank you for the session. It was really insightful how you explained how the healthcare industry works, what are the products in offering. Were really insightful, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sumit. Okay, if there are no more questions or feedback, may I leave the room? Divesh, Mohana, I
Yes, sir.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So much.
got it.
All the
Thank you
best
so
to
much,
all
sir.
of you.
So much.
Bye.
For this. Yeah. Mona, you may indicate.
Yes, I'll do that.